Well, when we talk about reaching out to have a dialogue with those who hate us, you want to put it in broad terms, I think there are various categories of those people. It's not a monolithic. Now, I don't believe that there is much hope or even a utility in talking to hardcore Al-Qaeda terrorists. They've already, I think, crossed the Rubicon. I think that the main focus of our conversation should be with those Arab and Muslim communities who who Al-Qaeda depend on for, if not for support, for at least turning a blind eye to what's going on. That's really the target of our efforts. Not Al-Qaeda hardcore people, but the people in the communities where they survive and they live. We need to cut off their links to communities where they do their recruiting and their support. If we can do that, then we can go a long way to defeating them. So that's really the focus, not on the terrorist hardcore people. And it's a competing narrative. Al-Qaeda's narrative is compelling in these communities because it touches their lived experience of humiliation from the West, of feeling denigrated from the West, of feeling controlled by the United States and the Western powers, of their own humiliation for centuries now in that part of the country. And every time we act to put a boot on the ground in that land, every country we invade, every rocket we launch just reaffirms everything that Al-Qaeda has been saying. So that's where the battle needs to be waged, at that level. I do think there are a lot of people we need to be in conversation with. I think our greatest asset in this struggle are the Arab and Muslim brothers and sisters who live in this country, who are citizens and immigrants, who came to this country, who understand that, yes, Islam and Western societies can coexist, that there are forms of democracy that really do come out of an Islamic culture, that we should be working with those people. We should be lifting those people up because they are the best spokespeople we have to show that our worlds can coexist. And we can learn from one another. That we have stuff that we can learn from Arab Muslim cultures just like they could learn from us. But what's maddening is when we bar these people even from coming to visit, when we bar people like Professor Ramadan, who was going to be teaching at Notre Dame University, who is a moderate Arab Muslim, but who's also very critical of the United States in terms of the way we behave in that part of the world. When we don't even allow them to come into our country, what we're saying is that our ideas can't stand up. We don't want dialogue. We should be inviting all of these people into our country. We should, instead of, after 9/11, as you recall, tens of thousands of Arabs and Muslims were rounded up. Thousands of them were deported. Instead of doing that, we should have seen them as an asset. Bring them to the White House. We should be teaching our kids as much as we possibly can about Islam. We should be doing cross-cultural dialogues with mosques and bringing those folks into our nation and into our churches to dialogue, to pray together. This is how we defeat. Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden. That is how we create a new dynamic. And unfortunately for the Obama administration, he can give a great speech, but especially in the Middle East, unless he has the courage to stand up to Israel and begin to really the United States play a role as a real honest broker, then everything we say and everything he has to say about, this is a new day for the United States and the Arab world is totally meaningless. totally meaningless. So that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is fundamentally crucial to our moving anywhere on this whole front in terms of really combating terrorism. And that doesn't mean we're anti-Israeli, but it means that the Israeli government and is especially the one that's currently there, and I think the last two before it, have been intent on a policy of ethnic cleansing going on in Palestine, of removing Palestinians either by forcing them out, making them leave because life is so unbearable, or killing them, or taking their land, and whoever's left, of putting them in these walled ghettos so that they have only the minimal kind of existence possible. I mean, that's where we're going unless we can stop them. And I think the United States is really the only power left that can really exert an influence on Israel if we choose to. So we really need to do that. That's the linchpin, I think. If we can begin to solve that, if we can begin to change that narrative, then we can really, really begin to move to build relationships with Muslim communities and Arab communities around the world, and particularly in the Middle East. I was really happy that Pax Christi published the book, that it's available on the website, www.paxchristiusa.org, and you can find the book there. It's in its second edition, and I'm real happy about that. And I hope people will take the book, use it to study, but I hope that it begins a real conversation in our country about who we are, who we really are, and how we want to move forward as a nation.